I come out with an accounting degree, so I'm thinking I'm doing my books right, and then my business coach looks at my books and says, "These are garbage. I can't tell anything about your business from this." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" Like, I didn't quite get it, and then, through that time, the first thing that she taught me was, we set up my chart of accounts correctly. So I know my direct cost versus fixed cost.
Mhm.
With my and then it's also about running lean and mean. Everybody likes all these fancy stuff, but we actually just got out of this because we I was with a company for since I started. When I did my rebrand, they redid my website, but I didn't own it.
Welcome to the Roll Up and Roll Out podcast. Sit down with blue-collar business owners and inspired entrepreneurs to get the industry insights from the leaders that grow our local communities and learn how to scale your business. Regardless of GED, these people know how to GSD. Here is your host, Paul Childers. Let's get to work.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Roll Up and Roll Out, where we talk to blue-collar business owners who may or may not have their GED, but they all know how to get shit done. Today, we got Joe Leistico, the owner of Off the Hook Heating and Air, gracious enough to join us today. Joe, just do a brief introduction on yourself, and then I always like to start off by, having my guests tell everybody what was your path into your current industry.
Okay. A little bit about myself. I'm married with my wife Ashley. We have a 7-year-old daughter Mackenzie. Yeah, my path into the HVAC trade was a little bit different than most. I started off in my life, I was a machinist for 16 years, was in a motorcycle accident where I could no longer stand in one spot for long periods of time. After that, I started a sewer company. We did sewers for 3.5 years. It got to be the time of year where we were shutting down and I wanted something to do for the winter time. So I got a job with a bigger outfit that told me that we were going to be servicing. I went out with the service guys to get trained, and they were training me to sell because none of them could fix anything. So I started teaching these guys how to fix stuff. And then he moved me over to the install side. So I decided to move on with that. And about 2 weeks into it, we replaced a furnace for a little old lady that was 12 years old that was supposedly had a cracked heat exchanger. We pulled it out and the heat exchanger was mint. So, yeah, I brought it back where scrap wasn't supposed to go back to the shop. It was supposed to go someplace else. I brought it back to the shop and asked him to find me the crack. When he decided that he couldn't find the crack, he said it was old anyways and needed to be replaced. So then he walked away, and I can't live like that. So I kind of went after him, and after saying some words to him, he turned around and told me to mind my own business. So I took him up on the offer and minded my own business. So yeah, that's kind of where I got my start from. Didn't really know anything at that point in time. My best friend has 20 years of residential experience, so he was very, very important for my success at that point in time. Helped me out. I'm really good at fixing stuff. We fixed our own CNC machines, so making aircraft parts out of CNC machines and having to fix those are way harder than fixing furnaces and ACs. So yeah, we started off as SMP Heating and AC for the first 3 years, and all of a sudden, we headed down to the cities quite a bit, and I wanted to know how can I get more recognized in the local community because a lot of people hadn't heard of me. So I got a hold of first of all, I hired a business coach because I didn't know enough. She pointed me to a guy named Dan Antonelli that owns Kick Charge Creative.
Mm-hmm.
He looked at me and said, if you're not willing to change your name, I'm not willing to help you. And I told him, I can't change my name. People know me. 2 days later, my uncle calls me up and goes, "What's the name of your company?" So after I told them the name of my company, I hung up the phone, called Dan Antonelli, and said, "When can we start this process?"
Yep.
I mean, it was a pretty big process to get us from one spot to the another. It took 9 months before I got my first truck wrap, from the time we signed, from naming to the different graphics that we could have came up with for the brand and stuff like that. So I mean, it's been since June of last year that we've been off the hook heating and air, and I can tell you it's been really great having the better branding out there. I mean, I didn't know that to begin with about branding. I mean, we had a logo on our truck. I mean, the first truck I bought was just a regular van that had rust on it that I spray painted once a week to to cover up the rust that was falling off. So, but I mean, I'm very happy to say that we're not a business that has a lot of debt. I mean, that's my biggest thing to everybody is watch your debt management. I mean, everybody in Minnesota knows the winter we've had. We haven't had one, so uh, I have some friends in the industry in Minnesota that are not like that, and they have a lot of debt, and they're really struggling right now. So, it's with us not having the winter, that's kind of, but we're weather dependent. I mean, sometimes we could try to make our own weather with some tune-ups and stuff like that, but at the same point in time, like my company, we're a repair company first. I mean, not that there's some stuff that can't be fixed and we stumble across that, but I mean, we want to fix stuff instead of replace it, which separates us a little bit differently. Um, I pay my guys a livable wage. So, I mean, at that point in time, they don't, or livable hourly wage. So they don't make commission, because I feel like I can't send a guy in and give a good opinion when he has incentive to sell more stuff that they don't need.
Yep.
And that's always been my case and how I got started. So I mean, we just make sure that that's the case. So
Yeah. Well, it's fascinating you say that, because I think you're right. There is a lot of stuff out there right now in different industries where it's not even like fixing isn't even a conversation. It's just replace, replace, replace. How do we replace things? And I think consumers just get tired of that overall, because I know for me anyway, when I've had anything that's needed to be done, I appreciate the fact that somebody can just fix it, because I don't want to have to call somebody and know that I'm going to have a large bill just because something tiny went wrong with it. It's like, there's got to be some way to fix some of the stuff. I know that's not always the case, but tell me a little bit about how that has allowed you guys to kind of differentiate yourself in the marketplace by really, I'm going to say, taking almost like a customer first mentality in this versus some of the other, bigger players in the space that are all about, let's just throw new stuff in.
this is the cool part, and it's taken a while to see it pay off, but probably 50% of our phone calls that we get from new customers are from direct referrals of people that we've worked for in the past. So our marketing is very, very little. I mean, we run a 4% marketing budget, which industry average is in between 6 and 10%. So I mean, that's huge for us, because we get to pass that on. And I mean, I'm not looking for the quick grab. I can tell you this: eventually, if we service that thing for 10, 15, 20 years, it's going to break. It's going to need to be replaced, and we want to be the company that does that.
Yep.
But in order to do that and be able to get all the word of mouth, like, I mean, we prefer not to push on stuff that doesn't need. I mean, we go out for second opinions all the time, and it's like, you need a new igniter, you don't need a new system. I mean, when we go out and we do tune-ups, I mean, we check that thing out top to bottom, because my whole goal is not to be out there sometime along the line. I mean, if your blower motor is going bad, I mean, it might last a couple more years, but at least we want to make sure that the customer knows about it, so they get to make the best decision. I mean, it's all a risk analysis for the customer. How much risk are you willing to take? I mean, I mean, when you get to that 15, 16, 17 years old, I always ask people, can you be without AC for a couple days? If the answer is yes, then yeah, keep it running, run it until it will no longer work. But I mean, if your risk analysis is I can't live without it for 3 days, then a replacement at that point in time might be the best interest of the customer.
Yep.
And, I mean, the cool thing we have here in Minnesota is we have winter, which I have a fleet of like 30 space heaters, so I can keep somebody's house warm in the middle of winter. I just have no way of cooling the house during the summertime. So
Yeah. And I think too, like, most people can, the majority of people can usually suffer through 2 to 3 days of heat, right? Because the one thing that's nice about Minnesota versus other states is like, even when we do have hot stretches, usually at least in the evenings, if you pull your windows open and stuff, you usually get cool enough that it at least makes it manageable. Like I understand not being able to do that down in like Texas, Arizona, and some of those places, but up here we get a little bit of those luxuries. Whereas in the wintertime, if it gets below zero, you can't be without heat for very long. Otherwise, you're starting to risk a lot of other damage. That's a cool setup that you guys have. I think it's fascinating to me that, the catalyst for you was just working for, what you would deem probably an unethical company, in your opinion, just weren't doing it the right way, right? Because I think consumers deserve a choice as to how they want to spend their money, as long as they're being informed on it. Is the most important thing. And I remember that from my time in automotive too, when we would do service reports and stuff. It's like, inform the customer what's all wrong, give them their options, and then let them ultimately decide what route they want to go. And usually then you would have the happiest customers ever. Did you feel like that took you a while to build that message and that kind of branding for yourselves when you did that route? We're like, hey, we're not going to come in and just do the old switch and replace. We're actually going to do HVAC work and assess everything. And then, like, did that take a while for that to kind of catch on in the community, or did that kind of catch really fast?
It's still a struggle every day. I mean, it's still a struggle. I have the big competitors out there that can outspend me probably 100 to 1. For every dollar I spend in marketing, they're spending 100. So, I mean, but that's fine. Like I said, the word of mouth means more to me than anything else. And I mean, we have a rule. We have a mom rule. What would you want to be done in your mom's house? I mean, that's what we recommend. Because if you're willing to recommend that, like, hey, the inducer motor bearings are kind of going out, they're making a little bit of noise, but if my technician doesn't believe like it needs to be addressed immediately, I mean, he puts it on the report, but when they ask him about it, he'll say, hey, it's 16 years old. I mean, does it really pay to put in a new one? Like, let's try to give this it may last. I mean, with bearings, you never know. I mean, we've seen inducer motors that, I mean, you think that are kind of on their last leg, last 2 years. So now we get it to the 18-year mark, and now you definitely should be looking at replacement at that point in time instead of putting money into there. But I mean, at that point, when we get out there to begin with, it's like, I wouldn't recommend it to my mom to replace it. I'd tell her to let's ride this out a little bit longer. So
Yeah, that's interesting. As far as like finding techs, how has that been for you guys? Have you been finding that difficult to find quality people, or have you guys been finding it a little bit easier just because of the way that you do business?
actually, we've been finding it harder because of the way we do business. I mean, I get texts coming in for an interview, and they talk about their flip percentage. Like, I flip this many systems, and as soon as they give me that, it's like, we don't play that game. So I mean, we've had to take a lot of people in other industries and convert them over to the HVAC field. I mean, auto mechanics are great. Sometimes they need a little bit more communication because they're used to working in the shop. But I mean, a communication skill is just a skill that we can teach.
Yep.
I hate to say this, but working on cars is a lot harder than working on furnaces and ACs. I mean, the AC system in a car is almost identical just bigger in a house. So I mean, it's not I like transferring people over than finding people in the industry. I mean, especially for the service techs because they've been trained so much to sell, sell, sell. So
Yep. No, that's interesting, and that's a cool kind of avenue that you've found in order to kind of, I think, establish yourself as a differentiator in a market that is notorious for the flips. And not that that's always a bad thing, but it can definitely be a bad thing, especially when you're not needing to replace that stuff. So, you yourself, you said, you came from being a CNC machinist. What are some things that you have done for yourself? I know you said you hired a business coach, but outside of that, what are some other things that you've done in order to like really force yourself to learn your business so that you could run a company instead of having the company run you?
knowing my numbers, so after my accident, I actually got an accounting degree. So I got a bachelor's in accounting 2 years and 3 months after the date I started without any credits going in. I mean, I was taking double course loads, everything else like that, just because I didn't have the time. So so I come out with an accounting degree, so I'm thinking I'm doing my books right, and then my business coach looks at my books and says these are garbage. I can't tell anything about your business from this. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like I didn't quite get it. And then through that time, the first thing that she taught me was, we set up my chart of accounts correctly. So I know my direct cost versus fixed cost.
Mhm.
With my and then it's also about running lean and mean. Everybody likes all these fancy stuff, but we actually just got out of this because I was with a company for since I started. When I did my rebrand, they redid my website, but I didn't own it. And everybody said I needed to own the content of my website.
Yep.
So I hired a well-known company in the industry that has done really well. Um, Turns out they grew too big too fast, and then they gave me probably unrealistic time frames that they could do stuff by, and it was taking 2 to 3 times longer than what they promised.
Yep.
So, actually this week we finally just let them go because of that. It was kind of nice having this nice shiny website, but at the end of the day, it wasn't producing the dollars, and I couldn't even get accurate reporting out of them. So, that's sometimes those bigger companies are not the way to go.
No, I remember my time in automotive. It was all about owning your own data, because when you own your own data and you own your own website, you can do a lot of stuff with that information if it's dialed in and accurate. And you're right, there are a lot of companies out there that like to sell you on the shiny object, but once you as the business owner kind of learn what it is that you're actually looking to get out of it, it's really easy to kind of pick out the ones that are maybe just liars, and then the ones that are maybe not lying, but like you said, grew too fast and just didn't have the systems in place to be able to manage the workload, right? And that's that's a whole separate issue in my opinion. That's just a learning curve for somebody that's got jumped into a new spot. But at the same time, um, you can't just sell products if you don't have a service.
You know,
You know, so
and I'm in an industry where like we're customer service focused. If I tell somebody it's 90 degrees out and they call at 6 o'clock and I tell them I can be out there in the morning, chances are they're going to hang up the phone and call somebody else. So that's like, I'm in a highly customer focused, and it's hard when vendors don't treat me the same way that we have to treat our customers.
Yep.
So, that's a very difficult thing. And the best advice I can give to anybody is have access to your DSN. I don't know what that is. My wife takes care of that for me, but I can tell you that I will never give up that access to that again. Because originally we did, and we had to fight tooth and nail to get it back. But after we got rid of that website company, it literally took 10 minutes to get my new website on from the reverting back. So
Yep.
that's the best advice I can give to any business owner is have control of that.
Own your stuff. Yeah, it ends. I even say that too with like your CRM systems is it's okay to have companies that, implement a CRM for you, but I do not like the companies that they host the CRM and they also host the website, because you don't have any legal access to any of that actual like data that really matters for you as a business to be able to scale and grow. So it's just stuff, little things like that I also encourage business owners to kind of manage and maintain, because it makes a difference, and it will make a difference when you get to a point where you're ready to sell as well.
Yeah, I got a PhD in the hard knocks education system. So I mean, but at some point in time, the other thing is you got to understand sunk costs. There's no reason to throw good money into something that's going really bad for you. I mean, eventually you just got to pull the Band-Aid off and let the wound bleed a little bit, but it will scab up at the end of it. So, I mean,
100%. We got just little over a minute and a half left here, but what is like the one thing that you are looking most forward to in 2024 and moving into 2025 that you've got going for your business?
just scaling. I mean, that's where we're at right now. We've always ran lean and mean, and we're going to continue to do that. But I mean, we're looking for people. We're looking for quality people. I mean, that's the biggest thing. I mean, it's just a skill set. I can teach skill set. Few things that we can't train is showing up all on time and showing up with a good attitude. I mean, that's anybody out there that is looking to get into any trade. I can tell you, we are so willing to take you, and we're willing to put in the time and effort to train you, but you got to want it. I can't make you show up on time, and I can't make you have a good attitude. So, I mean, that's one of the major things that the participant brings to the table, or the employee brings to the table. You bring those things and you can go long places in this industry. So,
Yep. Yeah, attitude and mindset are just things that have to be a lot of times are things that just have to be tapped into, or at least a willingness to know that you need to change or be better.
yeah.
Well, Joe, I appreciate your time, and I'm glad that you were able to take some time out today and share with us and be on the show. So, thank you again.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.